What is up, heroes? This is Midnight Zero, and welcome back to another battle, or team building video for my next coming battle in the UCL. This week we're going up against Caden, who is not the California Cubones, who we play next week. Maybe the Florida Flygons? I'm not 100% sure. I should know. But regardless, he's got a nice threatening team. He's got, some good mons. He's actually not doing super well in the league right now. I do think that is part of the problem for that is his team composition. The Pokemon on his team don't actually come together very nicely, I think. That being said, there are still one or two Pokemon that, of course, if I let them get out of hand, they can tear up my team. So, starting off, we got Dugtrio here. I looked at his team. I saw Raikou, I saw Megalopony, I saw Delphox, I saw Tyrantrum, I saw Virizion, I saw Seviper, and I saw Lapras, and all of those Pokemon take a lot from Dugtrio. So being able to trap and kill Raikou with Earthquake, pretty much using Reversal, because I'm Focus Sash, so when I'm at 1 HP, my Reversal will be base 150 or 200 power, I think, and that puts in a ton of work against his team. Aerial Ace is there for Virizion, and Memento there to give a setup opportunity for one of my other Pokemon. It's pretty straightforward. This pretty much comes in on something and gets a kill. Straightforward. Moving on, we have Suicune. He actually has a couple good Pokemon to counter Suicune. He's got Lapras and Poliwrath, both of which have the ability Water Absorb. So they completely wall my Suicune. That being said, I could outstall both of them. But Poliwrath typically runs Circle Throw, so I feel like he'll bring that. Lapras runs Freeze Dry, which if it gets a critical hit, would be able to knock me out. But after Calm Minds, that doesn't do enough damage, even if it's a modest Lapras. But against the rest of his team, it does really well. Virizion can do well against Suicune. Raikou does well against Suicune. But other than that, I take high jump kicks from Megalopony. I did some probability, and there's actually a 51% chance I get either a burn or or he misses one of his high jump kicks. So it's normally a 3-hit KO, but it's very unlikely that it'll actually reach there. So Tyrantrum could put in work. Virizion, if allowed to set up, could put in work, but same with Zangoose. Zangoose Facade after a Toxic Orb boost does around 60% or so, which is really really strong. So I need to make sure I have a check for that, and I do, believe me. But against a lot of his other Pokemon, especially for Alligator, Tyrantrum, even Delphox. If it's Delphox with Calm Mind and Grass Knot, I live that with it only does 60% or so, and after a Calm Mind it'll do 40%, so I can actually Calm Mind up on a Calm Mind Delphox and take it out after +1, because Delphox's defenses are crap. But I also know that he likes to run Choice Scarf Delphox, and that set typically runs Trick, so I am going to keep my eye out for that. He also has brought Block Perish Song Lapras in the past to trap a Pokemon and KO it, so he might try and do that to Suicune yet again. But after the few checks to Suicune are gone, it can pretty much go crazy on his team. He likes to run Dragon Dance Tyrantrum, and after a Dragon Dance, Tyrantrum is pretty threatening, but I also get 2 chances to burn him with Scald before I would die from it. So, Suicune doing its usual thing: Scald, Calm Mind, Sleep Talk, and Rest. Moving on to the next Pokemon, we got Mega Altaria. Pretty straightforward. Dragon Dance, Return, Earthquake, Roost set, physical attacking. Earthquake does really well against his team, against all the Pokemon that Dugtrio does well. Dugtrio can probably get 1, maybe 2 kills, but if it only is able to get 1 or 2 and there are still other Pokemon that are weak to ground, I don't want to have to rely on something that isn't ground to try and kill it. So after getting to +1, Return does a ton of damage to almost everything on his team. I will mention that my speed EVs allow me to just barely outspeed for Alligator and Adamant Zangoose, which would do a lot of damage. And I outspeed Megalopony after I'm +1, so that's really important. I almost always OHKO for Alligator at +1 after Rocks. I OHKO Delphox after Rocks. This is just neutral. I OHKO Tyrantrum with just straight up. I OHKO Golurk at +1, I OHKO Poliwrath at +1, I OHKO Volibee at +1 after Rocks, and I almost always OHKO Lapras after Rocks without even a boost. So Mega Altaria puts in a lot of work after getting +1, and luckily it'll likely have an opportunity to set up with Memento from Dugtrio. Other than that, it usually takes around 50 to 60% from most other mons on his team. It takes 60% from an HP Ice from Choice Specs Raikou, and it can tank high jump kicks, etc. One thing I do need to watch out for is Scarf Gardevoir with Moonblast, though, because that outspeeds my Mega Altaria by 3 points. And I didn't want to risk speed ties or anything like that, so I just admitted I'd be slower and put the rest into HP, which will help me live and set up. Moving on to Heatran. I was considering which set on Heatran I wanted to run, but really I wanted to be able to tank hits from all of his special attackers, whether it's Virizion, whether it's Raikou, especially Raikou, or Gardevoir, or Delphox, Seviper, maybe even Lapras a bit, but I really wanted to help out with taking the special side of that, you know, maybe absorbing some Volt Switches, so my other setup mons don't have to deal with it. Lava Plume is there to do some damages, 20 to 30% against most everything, except for Skarmory, where it almost OHKO is guaranteed. I think it's like a 50% chance to OHKO. And I have Toxic for everything that like Lava Plume would do nothing against. And that's the point of this Heatran. Set up Stealth Rock, Lava Plume for damage on switches or Toxic on switches, Protect to get a little bit of extra leftovers while whittling down with Toxic damage, and setting up for sweeps with other Pokemon, especially because Dugtrio's attacks, a lot of times if they do KO, it's like a 50% chance to OHKO or like a 60% chance to OHKO, so like that little bit of chip damage will really go a long way. Next Pokemon, Jirachi. We got Iron Head, Heart Stamp, U-Turn, and Healing Wish. Typical choice Scarf set. We're running Adamant because we just barely outspeed Feraligatr. We're not worried about outspeeding Gardevoir. We also outspeed Mega Lopunny, the same speed as we're the same speed as Mega Altaria, except we got a lot more attack investment and some HP. Iron Head does a ton of damage to most everything on his team. Does over half to Golurk, which is important because I'll talk about that with Hitmonlee. It almost OHKOs Gardevoir. U-Turn does a lot to Delphox. Same goes for Virizion. And to what Iron Head doesn't do a lot to, Heart Stamp does a ton, especially like Seviper, Virizion, what else? Poliwrath. And yeah, chip damage, switch priority, and if necessary, Healing Wish up Suicune after taking like a hard hit from Tyrantrum or Feraligatr or something along those lines. Last Pokemon, Hitmonlee, also Choice Scarf, Close Combat, Knock Off, Poison Jab, and Rapid Spin. I know that he likes to bring hazards with Skarmory, whether it's Spikes and Rocks, or just Rocks, or just Spikes for that matter. He likes to bring Whirlwind, counter Skarmory, nothing too crazy. So Rapid Spin might be really useful later on in the game, especially because I have a Focus Sash on my Dugtrio, which would allow me to get an extra kill probably if it stays intact. Close Combat does a ton of damage to a lot on his team, so late game Hitmonlee sweep might be a thing yet again. Between Jirachi and Hitmonlee, they can probably clean up the rest of the game. Also, Knockoff is there for particularly Golurk. It does a little over 50%, so between Jirachi and Hitmonlee, they check that Pokemon. To be honest, Golurk is probably the most threatening Pokemon on his team, to my team at the moment. Earthquake, from an Adamant Golurk, does just under half to Suicune, so, and I don't want that thing getting that weakened early on. And he does a ton of damage to Mega Altaria, whereas I can't necessarily OHKO it, unless I'm at +1. So setting up on it would be really difficult. Especially when he runs Shadow Punch. He might even run Ice Punch. He's run Choice Band before, and yeah, Golurk is scary. Close Combat is there particularly for Lapras as well, and Tyrantrum to help like clean up if necessary. Same goes for Mega Lopunny. Poison Jab is there for coverage against Gardevoir, and my ability is Limber because I wasn't making use of the Reckless ability, especially when he has a Ghost type. And so, just to make sure I don't get paralyzed. I am EV'd so that I just barely outspeed Gardevoir if it's Scarf. I tank a hit from Delphox if it's not Psychic. But yeah, this team feels pretty good. I feel pretty good about this team. It's a bit less bulky than I like, so it might be a faster pace. I might have to make some sacks, which is not my typical playstyle, but hey, you know, it should work out in the end. After watching his battle, he likes to lead off with a threat that can Dragonance up right away, so I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm going to lead off with something that can set up on one of his setup mons or just threaten him immediately, depending on what his team composition is. And he typically thinks one play in advance, so he's at least able to acknowledge what my best play is and will play accordingly, but he rarely doubles, so I'm going to try and take advantage of that too. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the battle, but until then, this has been Midnight Zero, and this mission is complete.